Our next speaker is Richard Coupland from Republic Service, representing the hauling community.
I appreciate that, and I'm extremely humbled to realize that I'm the only hauler on the agenda. I come to you from our headquarters, and I realize as I listen to the speakers before me, we have a unique position in our organization. Many of you may work with and know our local Republic team that serves and partners with the city of Chula Vista, the city of San Diego, the county of San Diego, Carlsbad to the north. And then myself and my colleagues out of our national headquarters, we have the responsibility for looking across opportunities where we see techniques maturing and figuring out how to scale them and how to take them to a more national level. And so it's a fascinating relationship that we have, and it's something that I'll kind of step through in my remarks. I was gonna open by trying to impress, the fact that we view the word recycling much broader than certainly when I was growing up, and it was just a very classic program at the curb. But Richard touched on that in his opening remarks, and so I'll weave in different elements of what we're doing to find beneficial reuse at scale in my charts today as I move through my 10-minute and 38-second remarks. But I will also kind of finish my opening thoughts with my comment about looking down at scale. We serve a little over 14 million customers at Republic Services. By the end of every day, when the sun goes down, we will have touched over 5 million stops. And we don't design any of our infrastructure and our facilities for storage, so we have to continue to move that material efficiently so that we can roll the trucks again the next day. And so it's a bit of a Rubik's Cube when you think about it in your mind. The different sides of a Rubik's Cube have to do with programs that zero waste entails. Well, another side may be, does it work locally? Another side may be, will it scale? Another side could be, is it affordable? And we're constantly trying to figure out how to solve this Rubik's Cube by watching and learning. And fact is, California, you all lead the way. Everything that the country benefits from that's another chapter in this book usually starts here. And so we're proud to be partners with the folks in the room as we try and figure out what works and how we move forward. So I'm going to give you some very quick context, just diving into various topics of recycling. Starting with classic, I'll call it kind of the blue bin. So, your mixed papers, your plastic, your metals, your aluminum, et cetera. Big eye chart, what I want you to concentrate here is the big, thick blue line. This is the average value of the commodity that comes from the curb as it moves through a classic recycling center, happens to be our portfolio, over time, all the way back to when China sword kicked in. And a couple of key takeaways in this is that big, thick blue line is the average of all of those materials. It has really never recovered since China sword in terms of its value, other than a small spike, which everyone can immediately deduce. That was during the lockdown and the pandemic when there was more demand, and therefore with just normal economics, there was supply and demand. So although this is a value-based graph, it is also indicative of demand and what's out there. And because it's over a longer time period, when we design and build a major recycling facility, it's on a 10, 20-year horizon. And most of our contracts and partnerships in California are equally on like a 10-year horizon. So what this shows is that most of what we've been doing has never really recovered from the math we did on day one to figure out how to solve this Rubik's Cube. So it continues to be something that we're trying to solve as we have an opportunity to kind of share resets and extensions with our customers. Next, I'm going to shift into a technology discussion. You cannot scale what we're trying to do together without technology. 1383, for example, requires random audits of the route where we document contamination and behavior and turn that information in. That won't scale. It's unaffordable. It's a job that we continue to try and staff. And so on the left side of this chart, we are pushing the envelope to introduce cameras and AI technology so that we can get eventually to 100% visibility of every collection point, which is a dramatic change from just looking at floor audits and composition and trying to figure out what's happening. The ability to use that to introduce public education and email or text a customer with an image and help them understand the behavior shift that we need, that's where we're moving with this type of technology. On the right-hand side is similar technology but applied in the recycling center. Again, cameras and AI to help us sort and improve the quality that therefore will improve the value and ultimately the demand for folks that are looking for better, cleaner materials that move forward. So a lot happening in the technology space, and again, it's needed because we will naturally hit an inflection point where we can't scale anymore with manual approaches to try and solve this at the size of the state of California and the nation. Next, now this is a little bit of a story, but if you haven't heard of what we're doing with plastic circularity, I'm going to take just a couple of my minutes to walk you through this logic, okay? This is something that's never existed in the nation before, and it's happening now. And it started on the left-hand side of this chart. Major brands that have customers that want to see circularity and sustainability have continued to make commitments for a percentage of recycled content. So you think of these major package manufacturers and the brands that you might recognize. The problem is there was no one in the nation that was able to provide them the material for their production lines. Food grade, high quality, very specific material. So that created demand. It created a gap. And wherever there's demand, you're going to see investment, innovation, and businesses trying to help solve that problem. And we realized, as a hauler that happens to serve a vast majority of the nation, that if we moved our recycling center thoughts to a higher level, we could solve this problem. And so what I'm explaining is now plastic bales that come from our recycling centers move to one of 4 large polymer centers that are extremely expensive because we are then very meticulously separating the plastic. We're washing it, we're flaking it, we're treating it, and then we provide it to another company that we've started with a joint venture called Blue Polymer, and they make the specific manufacturing recipe that those manufacturers on the left side of this chart need.
And it's not shipped to China and back.
It's not going to China. It's literally bottle to bottle is the most clear, mental picture. Our flagship buyer that's already on board is Coca-Cola. And so they're taking all of that material that goes from the curb through the polymer center, through Blue, back to Coca-Cola so that they have food-grade material. Now, that's not the only solution, but absent that, we were in a position as a country, again, that wasn't necessarily going to get us where we all need to go. So we opened the very first polymer center in Las Vegas on December 5th. We are just now kind of tuning and learning because it's never been done at this scale. We've announced our second facility in Indianapolis, and the last 2 will be announced this year, and all of them will be open and full production within the next 2 years. Now, when we look back here in California with all of that groundbreaking position that I touched on earlier, I wanted to finish with some of these because there's some really amazing things that you all are helping us kind of perfect as we move forward. The top right image is an overhead picture from the Otay complex for C&D, where we continue to expand and refine the recyclable aspects of construction and demolition debris. And then in the bottom left-hand corner is a food pre-processing piece of equipment called a Thor. It's actually called a Megathor, and you're supposed to use like a James Earl Jones, deep voice when you talk about it. It's pretty awesome. It's a hammer mill for any engineers in the room like me, and we can put commercial food waste into it with bags, and it will separate the organic food material, turn it into a cake or a slurry that can then either go into compost or into a digester. And then the debris is separated so that we can handle that residual. The middle image is up north of us in Sacramento. That is our first digester that we've acquired into our portfolio. Using that organic waste, we're able to generate power with a digester, and we're learning from others that have been in that space as we go. And then what we don't put in a digester, we can insert into a wastewater treatment facility to use their digesters. We do that up in the East Bay Mud, for example, to the north. And then the bottom right-hand picture is back, finishing full circle here locally with the Otay complex. That is our compost facility, which has been expanded over 200 tons per day. And you see these mounds, those are Gore-Tex blankets that are over a huge compost facility. So classic composting has huge machines that turn the material. These are aerated static piles. We have solar, a whole solar grid that powers fans. We don't need emission-producing equipment to turn the piles, and we can create compost to then go circular back into the community here from that facility. So with that, I will finish the way I started. We're humbled to be partnered with so many people in the state of California, especially here locally. My information, if anybody needed to reach out to me at headquarters, is in that QR code. And other than that, we appreciate you very much. I hope you have a good day.